Hello, it's Nutter Alex again, and I'm coming at you with another Blades video. So this video is going to be kind of a two-part video. First, apparently there has been a shadow nerf to the Abyss. What's a shadow nerf? It's basically a nerf that they do, and they don't tell you about it. So first I'm going to say what the nerf is exactly, and the implications of it. So the nerf firstly is at endgame, when you were about level 45, you could run the Abyss for very strong equipment. And this equipment was either legendary, so you can get very, very strong named items, or it was dragon bone stuff or dragon scale stuff. Apparently now, when you do this, you cannot get any of the dragon gear. So that's just a quick rundown of what is happening there. The second part of my video, I'm just going to discuss enchantments, very good enchantments to get, some that are almost needed, and I'm going to suggest what to do with gems. Alright, so let's discuss the Shadow Nerf. The Shadow Nerf happened when the Silver Chest update happened. And I've been very good with defending this dev team, but this is something that makes me really wonder. I've played a lot of games, so microtransactions don't really bother me too much. As long as the endgame provides a way for players to grind and be competitive with high spenders, I don't really find a problem with it. But the change here is that apparently it's extremely hard for you to get even the materials to create the dragon gear. I've seen some very high players online say that you can only really get the gear from legendary chests. Now this creates a problem at endgame, because now you have to actually pay to get the strongest gear. While we thought that we could grind for it before, or we thought there was a good way to at least craft the gear to be competitive. And the way it sounds is that you can't even really get the materials to be able to actually craft the gear. Now this is a big problem for me. I've said in my other videos that I am a light spender. So far I've spent 20 American on the game, and I want to remain as a light spender. I don't mind if the game later on it impresses me, and I'll spend another $20, $30 on it down the road. But this is something that when I get to endgame, I really don't want to be able to pay to be competitive. That's not how I like the game. And as I've said in another video, I like PvP. It's my favorite part of gaming. But you can't have a healthy PvP when the top people are always going to be these people that just win because they've spent thousands of dollars on a game. And to be honest, I like being that guy who has spent either nothing or a little bit of money and can still beat these big spenders. Kind of for bragging rights, kind of for my own self-fulfillment, but it's just something that I've always liked about mobile games, that I can spend a little bit of money, but I can still beat these people that have spent hundreds of dollars on it. So going forward, this is a big issue for me because it could be game-breaking at endgame. I just wanted to share that with you. I will link the Reddit post where a player kind of brings this up. He is a whale. He's a known whale. But he's always been kind of trying to stick up for the free-to-play community because he's probably a player who knows that free-to-play has to be viable or competitive for a healthy game. And if you've watched my other videos, this does not affect my grinding methods that I've posted about yet. This is mainly just for the end game. And I also wouldn't get your pitchforks out too much. I'm going to see how the dev team handles this. If we hear silence about it, because it is a big post on Reddit right now, and if we continue to hear silence about this shadow nerf, I'm going to get really disappointed. But I would also like the team to maybe figure something out. Maybe the drop rate was too powerful, they found, so they wanted to nerf it. But the problem here is they might have nerfed it too much. So I would just wait a couple weeks to see how this kind of unfolds before we really jump the gun and say, oh my god, pay to win, because that's what this community loves doing. But that's it for that. Let's get into the tips and tricks. Do you want to do this to Lichs or to the end boss? Well, you can with this shield enchantment. To do this, you want to just create a shield and enchant it. And now it's RNG, but this enchantment here that says reduces target's maximum health by 29 on a blocked attack or shield bash. And when any magic user uses an ice ability, that is a damage over time ability, it will do damage to them repeatedly. You can kill the last boss within seconds. People online have asked me how I do this before, And this is how, but I think people got confused because they thought just the base enchantment would do it, but that's not the case. You have to have the secondary enchantment. I would recommend doing this anyway. Just keep on making a shield, even if it's the shield level below. So if you can start to craft Quicksilver gear, I would just make Dwarven shields because it'll be cheaper and you won't run out of materials until you get this enchantment. All right, and next we have a very strong enchantment. This one's probably the strongest. So we're going to look at my helmet here that I crafted, and increases healing effects by 12. This is extremely strong. This will, however, not proc with that one heal that you can get through perks that heals you over time as long as you have enough stamina. But this will heal with the heal on your gloves, which I will explain if you don't know what that is a little bit later. Overall, you definitely want one piece of equipment with this. So I would just keep on crafting until you get this enchantment, as long as you have the materials to support it. And if you've been following my previous guides, you should be able to. So this next one is a must-have. So this one is just the base enchantment. So you actually don't have to get lucky with this. It will always go on. And it's just the base health enchantment for gloves. And as I explained earlier, this will proc the other enchant you have on the other piece of gear. Secondary enchantments on the gloves, I think, are different from the rest of the body pieces. So I'm not really sure what hand enchantments, secondary enchantments exist. But this one looks very strong. Physical damage ignores 80 points of target's armor rating. That seems very strong. So you probably want to aim for that too, but not necessary. So that's it for basically the must-haves of the enchanting world. These next ones do definitely get some honorable mentions. So this one, 15 resistance to physical damage while health is critical. Seems pretty good, right? You start to get to a place where you can almost die, you get more resistance. Sounds okay. Alright, and this one doesn't seem too bad either. Shortens elemental conditions by 16%. So I'm not really sure what this does, but maybe when you get hit by poison, which hurts a lot, it's probably the strongest thing enemies do to you, or lightning can be pretty strong too. Maybe it'll lessen the damage from that. I'm not really sure. This one seems okay. Not really what you're generally looking for, though. Also, you have the cleaving resistance. There's one for slashing and there's one for bashing too. Those are okay. Your weapons are pretty straightforward. Generally, I only have a mace that has a fire enchant on it because trolls can be a little bit tough. And the mace like that will melt trolls. And I would suggest using a sword and just putting the base combat enchant on it, and it will increase combo damage. And for your body pieces, I'm still trying to figure out what is the best base enchant, but you can't go wrong with health right now. I've been fooling around with shock and poison because I find that is the magic that hurts the most. So I've been trying to kind of play with it, but you can't go wrong with just health. So that is it for enchants. But the next thing I wanted to talk about was how to spend your gems. Okay, so gems right now are they don't really do much unless if you're trying to get these chests, but they're really expensive and they're not really worth it until you're level 46 anyway. So in my last video, I talked about grinding and what I thought was the best method. Go watch that if you haven't. But in that video, I say spend your gems on chest capacity upgrades. This is the best way to spend gems if you're a free-to-play player because you're not really going to get enough to really buy anything substantial anyway. And the way I like to grind is you need a lot of chest spots to be able to grind effectively how I like to grind, which you can see in my other video. But if you are a little bit of a heavy spender, or maybe you spend a little bit of money, or maybe you just accumulate a lot of gems, these Imperial shipments are amazing. These are the meta way to spend your gems. They increase at every level. So the first one I believe is 400 gems, while this one is 1500. The reason why these are the best is because you get a ton of copper. You get cool little decorations for your town if that's what you're into, but it's mainly for the copper. You get tons of copper. this is the best way to spend your gems. Also, with these Imperial shipments, you'll get one at every town level. So when you level up your town, you'll get an offer. But that's the end of our video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. I will do more Blades content. I also do Elder Scrolls Online content. And just some finishing points. I wouldn't get too up in arms with the Abyss stuff right now. Yes, it is kind of shitty. And yes, it does look shady that they kind of just slipped this in and didn't give any response to it. They're still developing the game. It's very, very new. They're still trying to get things right. I wouldn't jump too up in arms about it, but it is something you should definitely track, and I'll track it. And if they give some kind of info, I'll make another video. But that's it. Have a good weekend, everyone. I know I will. I probably will start uploading videos next week. Peace.